Good morning, everyone. I'm Christina Jones, and I am Procurement Specialist with the NorCal PTAC, and I'm here today to provide a one-hour webinar, which is an introduction to government contracting. So again, this is an introductory course to kind of give you a broad level overview of contracting at the state and federal level, and also just introduce you to the certifications that they require, and hopefully just give you, again, the basic knowledge that you need. The webinar will probably move pretty fast because there's a lot of information to cover, but just know that we will send out the slides and at the end of the presentation, within about 15 minutes of the end of the presentation, so you can actually view it at your own pace if I move a little quickly for you. Okay, so a little bit about who we are. The PTAC, we're funded by the Defense Logistics Agency and also hosted by Humboldt State University, which makes our services free to you. We offer technical assistance with a focus on government contractors. So helping you learn the process, how to do business with the federal and state governments, helping you with the paperwork that's required, which may be certification, maybe a GSA schedule, helping you also with things like research, how to get positioned to do business with the government, anything that helps you compete successfully within the government marketplace. So these are the areas that we service, these 6 counties. So you can see far north, there are a few outlying areas that we do service as well. But if you're interested in knowing what those are, you can contact our director, Christina Kunkel, at her phone number is in the footer there, regarding whether or not we can provide service to you. And that will be on a case-by-case basis, or she will direct you to your local PTAC. Okay, here's our objectives for today: to have a broad understanding, like I mentioned, of contracting, what the benefits are, what do you need to do to get positioned as far as certification, whether or not you're eligible, whether you qualify. And once we review that, we'll also talk a little bit about regulations that you need to know and be aware of, how to do research in order to find the opportunities, and then talk a little bit about what happens after you're certified, you found the agencies you want to do business with, and what are the next steps. And hopefully we'll be done about 10 minutes early at least, so that I can have a Q&A session and hopefully answer any questions that you have. So should the government be your customer? Well, from a spend perspective, yes. They spend just in the federal government in fiscal year 2016, over $390 billion in goods and services. The state spends near $10 billion annually. And the federal, I want to say, if you didn't see from the original flyer that we sent out, that they are number 2, the state of California, in federal spending, contract spending. So it's very beneficial for those of us here in California as far as the opportunities at the federal level. Federal agencies are also required to set aside contracts. We'll talk about what those set-asides are, as far as 8A certification. Minority-based, veteran-based, woman-based, small business is basically the set-asides that the federal government has. And it's your most reliable vendor. The federal government is not going to go out of business. Please mute your phone, I'm sorry. The federal government won't go out of business. And they are reliable in that there are rules in place to make sure that you are paid, and there are rules in place that for certain, for instance, with the state, where if you're paid late, there's interest that's built in based on the California code. So a lot of benefits to doing business, but we need to determine first, are you ready? Can you spend the time? There's a lot of time that goes into becoming a government contractor. It's almost like a separate business. As far as the research required, the effort as far as getting to know the agencies and the buyers, there's a large undertaking as far as doing business with the federal and state government. Can your business financially support the cost? So Are you able to wait 90 days before you receive a payment? Are you able to purchase the supplies, hire the label, get positioned once you receive an award, but the award is delayed and, the work is delayed and you're not actually going to start till 3 or 4 months? So those are just a few of the things that you may encounter when doing business with the federal government. So you need to be aware of that and be prepared for that. And of course, you need to be prepared to follow the rules. The Federal Acquisition Regulation is the federal rule book, and there's also the California Code that you need to be aware of for state business as far as what you're bound to. The rules are there to protect the government, of course, but also to protect you, and also for you to know what you're getting involved with. So these are just some of the acronyms that we're going to discuss as we go through certification. So you may be, depending on how far along you are, familiar with many or all of these, but I just provided them as a reference point. And again, you will get these slides at the end so you can review it more closely. So do you qualify? At a broad level for any of the small business certifications, it's just that, it's small business based. But you can also qualify as a small minority business, a small woman-owned business, veteran-owned, and also a small hub zone business. And so we'll go through all of those, as well as at the state level, a small business certification or a disabled veteran business enterprise certification. So, but in all cases, you need to hold 51% or more ownership in the company. And you need to not only own the company by 51%, but also control the business. So you'll see as a theme as we move through the slides that you must own and control the business at 51%. And so what that means is, for example, if you're in construction and in order to do the work that you're required to do, it requires a B license, a contractor's license, and you don't hold that. Perhaps one of your employees holds it. So if your employee decides they want to leave, there goes your business. Your license is no longer there, and you can no longer do business. So the point of this is making sure that you control the business, is that the business remains in your control, and that no one else can direct the day-to-day by, for instance, holding the license. Making sure you are an actual small business by reviewing the NAICS codes. This is a North American Industry Classification System code. It's just designed to identify the product or service that you provide, and are also looking at the UNSCP codes for the state of California to see where you fit, and making sure that you fall within the guidelines. There are minimum guidelines or maximum guidelines as far as number of employees, and also maximum amount of revenue. So this is just a snapshot of what we're going to cover as far as certification. And we're really going to focus on the top two bubbles, federal and state, because city and county can vary depending on what certification that they accept, what are their requirements. They may have separate registrations. So they vary again. So you may want to look at those websites for counties that or in cities you would like to do business with. But the purpose here is to kind of show you which certifications are for federal and which are for state, and we'll move through each of these individually. So before starting the certification process, you want to define your NAICS, which I just mentioned. You want to obtain a DUNS number. And if you're not familiar with DUNS, this is basically like it can track your business credit, but it's required in order to register with SAM. So it's kind of like a business identity other than your tax ID number. Registration with SAM, the System for Awards Management, is required for federal work in order to be paid on the contract, in order to do business. In order to actually engage in a contract, you must be registered with SAM. So that's the only registration, not certification, that we're really covering, I believe. And besides, the small business profile is also sort of a registration. You should sign up. It's connected to SAM, so when you complete your SAM registration, you should also complete your small business profile. And within your profile, you'll have a capabilities narrative that you will create. And also the federal government, for those certifications that they provide, that they underwrite, they will list there if you're certified. So you're not allowed to actually pre-populate only they can. And why this is useful is because many of the small business procurement agents for the federal government will look here, the small business specialists, and see that you are certified as an 8A, certified as a hub zone, and so forth, and also look at your capabilities and possibly, hopefully, your past performance. So it's a good place to be, for you to be seen by the buyers. So now we're going to move into first state certifications, reviewing the benefits, some regulations, and a little bit about the qualification as well. So certification, the benefits are 5% bid preference on many of the bids. So for instance, if you are bidding $1,000 and say there's a large business that's bidding $1,000, your bid is going to come in at $950. So if it's the lowest bid, you're going to win based on being a certified small business. There's also a streamlined process for small business and DVBEs, where they will only state buyers will only seek out certain small business and DVBEs and offer that procurement directly to them for only a small group to compete. So all of this certification, I should say, is about decreasing your pool of competition. It won't eliminate it, but of course, as small as we can make that pool, the better chance we have to win. Also, another great benefit for small businesses under the state is the Prompt Payment Act. The state must pay a certified small business higher interest penalties for late payment of any undisputed invoice. So it's a great benefit. Here's a regulation for the state of California. The California Code of Regulations, Subchapter 8, you should be familiar with this, particularly with these 4 articles. This is what you're going to be held to as far as your responsibility. Also just outlining the rules, what's expected of you. It's very important for you to be familiar with this. And again, we will have links so you can go to these sites directly and look at them and kind of start getting familiar with it. And here's the Prompt Payment Act code that you should be familiar with as well. More about the benefits for small business and DVBE. Your visibility is increased because once you are certified, you're listed on the Department of General Services Cal eProcure website. And if anyone searches by keywords or just pulls up your company's name, they can see what your qualifications are, your certification, how long it's good for, whether you're a micro business, small business. So it increases your visibility among state purchasers. There's a program goal of at least 25% of state sales for small business and 3% for DVBE. I want to note also that for the state of California, they offer the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise, but they do not offer the Veteran Small Business Enterprise, which means you must have a service-connected rating of 10% or more in order to qualify for this certification. And also to note here is that if you are a smaller DVBE firm just entering the market particularly, and you want to, find an opportunity to subcontract, here's one here I have listed. A non-small business prime contractor who uses you, a certified small business or DVBE, for at least 25%. So they say that you're going to do at least 25% of the work for the net bid that they submitted. They're eligible for the 5% discount that you get. So it passes on to them that 5% bid preference. Here's the qualifications for small and DVBE firms. I'll let you read through these, which, like I said, you'll get the slides, but I just wanted to again remind you that there is not a veteran-owned certification. You must have a 10% service-connected rating. And also the DVBE certification is more underwritten. So there's a 30-day processing time frame. You need to upload some documents, and where the small business is more immediate. If you meet you answer the questions, which are basically around ownership and control, making sure that you own and control the company, and of course you're domiciled in California and so forth. Caltrans, I have this in the state certifications section, although it is not actually issued by the state of California, it's issued by Caltrans. It's for disadvantaged business enterprises, minority and women-owned business enterprises. And but I listed it here because a lot of the state efforts recognize the Caltrans certification. So it's good for particularly for shovel-ready projects, and also any business that assists that type of work. But it's also good. A lot of the states and counties recognize it as well, so it's pretty widely recognized, and I'll talk about that a little bit more also in the next slides. But the difference here, I think, from what I've covered so far, is beyond being owned and controlled 51% by the DBE, the disadvantaged individual, the minority, or the woman, you must be socially and economically disadvantaged. So socially, refers to your minority status. So one of the pre-approved minority status that are recognized by Caltrans, and then economically disadvantaged, and those requirements are listed here. Personal net worth not to exceed 1.32 million. For instance, an annual gross receipts for the firm not to exceed 23.98 million. So you see, that's a pretty large business can be a certified disadvantaged business enterprise, MBE or WBE. And the nice thing about this certification is it actually doesn't expire. It does have annual renewal requirements, but technically once you're certified, you can remain certified as long as you meet the requirements and keep up your annual renewal requirements. So some of the other advantages, again, cities, local government agencies, a lot of them recognize this program, but you can, again, look at their individual sites and see what they require as far as certification. Also, many states have the DBE program, so they have a reciprocal program where they will certify you basically on a fast track level based on you having a certification with the state of California. So now we're going to move on to federal certifications, and we're going to talk again about the benefits, some regulations, scorecard, and of course review the different certification requirements. So we already talked about, the large amount of awards that come out of the federal government, and again, particularly in California, we're number 2 and have been for many years as far as awards for government contractors. So the government is required to award 23% versus 25% with the state small business. And there's a lot of programs like the sole source program, opportunities, mentor protege program, teaming opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities that open up by being certified at the federal level. And of course, set-asides is, to me, one of the greatest opportunities because, again, you are automatically decreasing that pool like fairly immediately by being certified as an 8A firm or a hub zone firm. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Here are the contracting goals. And so you can see what those are here, and we'll review on this next slide how they did. So the nice thing is that they put out a scorecard every year, which kind of outlines, did we meet our goals? And it also lists what the previous year's achievement was. So 2016 number, the scorecard hasn't been released yet, which is why I'm using the 2015 card. But you can kind of see, again, how this works. So you can see what the 2015 goal, which follows the goal every year, 23, 5, 5, 3, and 3. And then you look on the right-hand column, you can see the ones that I've highlighted in green is where they have exceeded their goal. So they have a grade A because overall they've exceeded the goal on most of these. But where do we see an opportunity with HubZone? HubZone, they're not meeting it. They're only at 1.82%. And so that I would look at as an opportunity for you, particularly a lot of firms that are located within our region are within a hub zone. So it would benefit you to at least find out whether you're actually in a hub zone and if you can meet the requirements. And the PTAC, I will be conducting a webinar next month with more specifics on hub zone qualifications, how to move through the application and so forth. So look for that and sign up for that. We'll have information of that at the end of the webinar. And they also have subcontractor goals. And so you can see there's a lot more red here. So that means a lot more opportunity. And for those who are probably on this call who are new to contracting, this is a great opportunity for you to subcontract with a prime contractor who is experienced doing business with the federal government, and also to help them meet their goals, because particularly large primes have subcontracting plans that they need to submit and show that they met subcontracting goals as well. They've offered so much business to small, women, minority, service-disabled, veteran, hub zone businesses, so you can help them meet their goal while gaining past performance. This is just a snapshot of what I mentioned before, basically the government rules of federal acquisition regulation. So this is Title 48 of the Code of Federal Regulations. And so this is to kind of level the playing field for all executive agencies as far as what rules they need to follow and what rules we need to follow or you need to follow as contractors. So pretty much every bid, RFP, contract you see will reference some FAR clause, and you should be familiar with it. Here's one way that you can go and copy and paste that FAR clause into the search box and pull up that regulation and get familiar with what they're requiring of you or what could happen in the case of some change in the contract. So you should really be familiar with this. You shouldn't ignore the clauses because they will hold you to it. Now, agencies also have supplementary FARs. So what you can see where I have the arrow pointed here, the DFARs, that's for the Department of Defense. So you can see all of the agencies here that have supplementary regs that support. So they support the FAR, and you should be familiar with those as well if you're working with one of the agencies that's listed here. Now let's move into the certification program, the different programs, and we're going to start with 8A certification. So the 8A Business Development Program is a 9-year program, and so you have 9 years to compete and receive set-asides, sole source, and to be considered an 8A certified firm. After 9 years, you graduate, whether you're ready or not. So hopefully you are ready. You've gone from a small business to a large business. That's great. That's what we're hoping you can do. But also, hopefully you will, within the last several years of the program, you're required to kind of mix it up, not depend so much on 8A, and try to show more commercial success, show more success with other agencies or other contracts outside of 8A. So it's designed to kind of give you an opportunity as a socially and economically disadvantaged business to compete with large business and other businesses that are non-minority. And so you can see the requirements here. Something I want to point out here is about the at least 2 years in business. So a lot of companies will say to me, I've been in business for 2 years, but you need to be in business and have made a profit within those 2 years. That's what they're looking for. It goes down to that fourth benefit, that you are demonstrating your potential for success. So they need to see that your business is profitable, you have contracts. Those are some of the things they look at to demonstrate potential success. Capital could be line of credit. It could just be, just cash within liquid cash in the firm. It could be references. Those are some of the things that they look for that demonstrate potential for success within the program. Hub zone, we talked about that. That stands for historically underutilized business zone. And it's pretty much what it says. It's for those who are operating a business within an area that is economically depressed at the time. And so that can change based on the census. So at the time they evaluate, this area was considered to be economically depressed. And so by having a headquarters in that area and also offering jobs to someone who lives in that area or within another hub zone, you may qualify for this certification. So again, you'll see that same thing, 51% owned and controlled, and it's by U.S. citizens, and these are some of the other operatives, for instance, like an Indian tribe that can qualify. The principal office location must be in a hub zone, and so you need to work. And when they say principal office, they mean, you know, it's not just an office that you have there, but you're always out in the field, you know, 99% of the time. It needs to be an office that you work in quite a bit to be considered. And a minimum of 35% of your employees must reside in a hub zone. But again, we'll have a webinar next month on the 14th, and that will go into more specifics about, because it's a lot more to it than, you know, what I have listed here and the time that I have here. But we'll go into that next month. But at minimum, specifically for those that are on the call within our region, you should at least look at the hub zone map and determine if you are in a hub zone, and determine and take it from there. Because as you can see from the scorecards, you know, there are some deficiencies as far as meeting the hub zone requirements. So it seems to be a good opportunity. Service-disabled veteran-owned firms, this is the federal certification. So the state has the DVBE, the federal has the SDVOSB, and the veteran-owned small business. So they certify veteran-owned firms that do not have a service-connected rating. So, and I must say that the VA is very good about taking care of the veterans and making sure that they are first in line as far as procurement before any other group. So before 8A, before hub zone, and so forth, VA really takes care of its own there. So they have a certification process that has actually become a little bit more tricky than in the past, but again, we here at the PTAC are here to help you with this, so we can hopefully assist you with the paperwork, or if you submit an application, we can assist you with the response that you may have to provide, or any questions that you may have with any of these processes that I've covered. But the ruling that they follow is they comply with 38 CFR Part 74. So if you submit a package, you may see something come back and it will reference the different clauses within this ruling. So it's important to be aware of that as you move forward with this certification. A woman-owned small business is the newest certification of the federal, but it's been around a few years now. And it's Section 8M, which is 8M of the Small Business Act, just like Section 8A was 8A of the Small Business Act of 1953. So the Small Business Act itself has been around a long time, but this is our newest edition. And it was designed, of course, to expand opportunities for women-owned businesses. But the biggest difference here is that it's kind of restricted to these NAICS codes that I have here in this text box. But there's quite a few, so a lot of businesses do fit. 92 industry NAICS codes groups for women-owned small business, and then for economically disadvantaged women-owned, there's 21 industry groups. Again, the best way to figure out if you qualified is just to go out there and review the list. They have the list on the SBA's website, or we can help you with finding that if you need assistance. So same type of thing, 51% unconditionally owned and directed by a woman, managing the day-to-day operations, pretty much the same thing. Now, they don't have a minimum amount of time for the business to be operational, like with 8A. So there are differences among these nuances, but you know, the main thing that you want to be focused on before you even proceed is that, are you 51% unconditionally owned and operated by, in whichever category you're pursuing. Okay, so we went through all of the certifications, and you say that you've done the paperwork, gotten certified. What do I do now? So you need to try to get experience. We talked about considering subcontracting. is a very good way. I mean, of course, you want to eventually prime your own contracts because it's always good to be in control of your own destiny. But as far as getting experience and getting your feet wet with how government contracts work, it's a good opportunity for you. And also, again, to help some of those agencies and large businesses meet their goals as far as, you know, for instance, the hub zone we talked about, or other, particularly in subcontracting, there were a lot of areas they weren't meeting. So these are part of your strategy when you're putting together your strategy for how am I going to penetrate the government market. Making sure you market at trade shows, matchmaking events, and sending capability statements. And capability statements, I'm going to review this in a later slide too, but we also will have a webinar conducted by Lenny Bean, one of our procurement specialists, and he will give you some great information on how to complete that, and which will also help you with other areas as far as like the small business profile. He'll help you create the capabilities narrative, and that narrative you can use for your small business profile. So look for that webinar on December 7th as well. We'll talk more about research. I'm going to go into some research slides next, and about how to apply your bid no bid strategy. So this is a recap for both state and federal. Step 1, research and planning. You want to make sure that you're targeting the agencies or the buyers that are buying what you sell, and planning how it is you're going to go about targeting these agencies. Getting certified, you should get certified in any area that you can qualify. If you, for instance, if your research says this particular agency is looking for 8A firms right now, but you can qualify for a hub zone also, I wouldn't just get certified as an 8A. I would get certified in every area that I can, because we never know what opportunity is going to come up, and we want to be prepared by having the certifications. Of course, you're required to be qualified. You're required to be able to do the work and show that you're capable, but those help meet small business goals, so you should get certified in whichever area that you qualify. Locate the contracts. That's a part of research, but also on the second step as far as which contracts am I actually going to move forward with proceeding with. Maybe I've looked at the forecast for upcoming opportunities. How am I going to tackle those? And of course, market. So you need to constantly be out there. Like I said, it's kind of like a full-time job inside of your job, marketing to the federal government and the state. So just some of the sites that you can use. I'm going to review a few others, but FBL.gov for federal, USA Spending, and I'll show you screenshots of those. And we'll also, again, you'll get the presentation, so you'll be able to view it at the pace that you need to view it, or just kind of review it again. And if you have questions, you can circle back to myself or one of the other counselors here at the PTAC. So for the state, you want to review Cal eProcure, and I'm going to also have a screenshot of that. And you may be familiar if you're small business certified. And review CMAS purchases. I think that's something that's important to view. CMAS is the California Multiple Award Schedule, and you may be familiar with that as something similar to GSA. So if you're familiar with GSA at the federal level, basically both, if you don't know, are just like, I just kind of equate it to like a large government yellow book. That's online, and that you need to be pre-approved and vetted before you can be listed in this book. And so there's a huge process that goes around both of those, but just so you know, you can view historical purchases to see kind of what the state is purchasing at the state level, and also other contracts they have with the procurement vehicles that they have, or contract vehicles that they have. You can view sales there as well. Study your competitors, know what your competitors are doing, who are doing well, particularly in what you buy or sell. So that's important to your plan. Part of locating the projects is signing up for search engines that send out bids. And so I suggest using as many, particularly of the free ones, as you can. So just in case nothing slips through, you get it. If you don't get it from this particular search, you'll get it from another. But we have a fairly strong search here that PTAC offers for free our bid matching service will create a private page and send you bids based on your keywords and the regions that you choose. And the bids stay out there for 30 days. So as you can see from this third bullet, it covers a wide area, federal, state, local, including hospitals. So there's quite a bit commodities. Those are very small purchases, subcontracts, and even if you want to bid foreign, it will, pull foreign bids. So ready to sign up for that. Again, you would contact our office, our PTAC office at the number there below, and then one of the counselors will, myself or one of the other counselors will walk you through choosing the regions and keywords, because we need to actually do the sign up on this end. Other ways to locate projects, we talked about Cal eProcure, FedBiz opportunities. I just want to point out that that is a single point of entry at this time for opportunities over 25,000. I mean, there is going to be eventually, these systems are going to be merged through SAM, and I think that's coming up really soon. But as of today, it's a single point of entry for federal opportunities over 25,000. Now, Federal Procurement Data System also has procurement opportunities, but it's $3,000 and more or more. USA Spending, again, I'm going to review, show you some screenshots of these different sites. Has historical search of federal contracts. What I like about USA Spending is just very user-friendly looking, but it updates every 30 days, where FPDS, Federal Procurement Data System, is more real time. So again, county, city, local resources, they vary. You need to go out to those sites and see what their requirements are to register to receive their bids. I know some use different entities. They've signed up for like Planet Bids, and every bid for that particular county will go through Planet Bids, so you need to go there and sign up. So here's a snapshot of Cal eProcure, and again, if you're small business certified, you're familiar with this, but for those who aren't, here's an opportunity for you to search for contracts, view past purchases, and see current bids, what's upcoming. You can also, as you can see here, look at the Search State Contracting and Procurement Registration System, the SKIPPERS data. And so there's a lot of information there, research, where you can find out what the state is buying or selling, or what they're buying, excuse me. Okay. This is a snapshot of FBO.gov, FedBizOps. And this is, again, just a snapshot. You could go and do this as an advanced search. You could actually search for awards. You could search for brand new opportunities. There's a lot of different ways you can search in here. Some people use this just for new opportunities, but I don't necessarily suggest it, because a lot of times when it's, not all the times, but a lot of times when it's posted out here, someone else has done all the research and getting to know someone that I'm suggesting that you do. So they may be in a slightly better position to win than you are if you just come out here and look for an opportunity and bid. So you want to make sure that it's a good use of your time when you do bid on projects. So we'll talk about a little bit about that as well. And so this is basically, I've clicked on one of the links in FBO, and this is what they give me. In this case, this is a pre-solicitation. So they're saying save the date. It's a site visit. I chose this because I thought perhaps site visit would be good for you as far as getting to know how contracting works. Not always, but perhaps, the program manager would be there if it's a site visit. Trying to get to know the buyers and the players involved in making the decision on the contract. So, or also just, like I said, getting to know who's competing for this type of work by going out and kind of see what competitors are there. And so this is also good. FBO can be used for a lot of methods, not just new opportunities, as I mentioned, but like this pre-solicitation, responding to what they call sources sought. So, they're not sure if there are qualified firms out there. Say, for instance, you want a contract to be set aside for 8A, you're 8A certified. So, you want to, they're looking for qualified 8A firms to see if there's enough to set it aside for that. So responding to sources sought is something that you don't initially receive a contract from, but it's important, and it also gets lets buyers know who you are. Another opportunity here is you can watch opportunities. So say, for instance, you saw this particular solicitation, you want to be notified every time something comes up. By creating an account here, you can watch this opportunity and be notified when there are any changes. This is usaspending.gov, which I mentioned, which is a really user-friendly site. I like that you can just go in here. For instance, if you know your competitor's name, you can just type it in, and it'll bring up all the contract awards that they have. So it's pretty easy, and also it has a lot of graph features and shows you how the money is spent in different formats. So what I highlighted here, if you look, kind of a screenshot of the state of California. So just for fiscal year 2017, and we are only a month in or so of that, $3.28 billion has been spent in the state of California alone. So that's just kind of letting you know. And then again, like I said, it's very user-friendly. This is an easy site to use. What I like to do is take this. For instance, I put in ABC Company, and I came up with a list of contract awards. Is copy the contract award and paste it here into Federal Procurement Data System, because the information is a little more real time. And by that I mean, for instance, if there was a contract that was awarded ABCD, was a contract number, then there may have been other small awards under ABCD that will be shown here in Federal Procurement Data System, but may not be outlined in USA Spending. Also just based on it's not real time as Federal Procurement Data System is. The other good thing about FPDS is that the award, they mine information from $3,000 awards or more. So I would suggest, using those together, but you can, the bottom line is the information is out here. Whatever you're more comfortable with, you can use. Capability statement, I mentioned Lenny Bean will be conducting a webinar next month on December 7th that will go into a lot of detail on this, and he will also provide you a template that you can use to create your capability statement, as well as, like I said, helping you create that, giving you guidance on how to create that capabilities narrative that you will need for your statement, as well as your small business profile. So sign up for that for December 7th, but here's kind of just a high-level overview of what a capability statement, or what you will see the class called, it's also referred to as a Statement of Qualifications, SOQ webinar. This is just information about marketing, why you should, this is really relevant to any type of business, but it's also relevant specific to your government contract business. What are the minimum requirements that the agency requires? What are the minimum requirements that the contract or solicitation requires? These are things to think about. Researching your competitors. What are they doing? How successful are they? You don't want to go down a path pursuing something that you sell, whether it's a product or service, when it looks like the government's only purchasing it like a one-off. Every 3 years they're purchasing one. You want to make sure that there's some kind of pattern, and also it's within a region that you can service. Maybe you can serve CONUS, or maybe you can only service your local area. So looking and researching your competitors, that will help you in setting up your plan. We just talked about the capability statement, and of all of this work that you're doing, the real thing that you want to get to is a relationship building, because building relationships with the agencies, with the buyers, is what's going to help them remember, I like ABCD Company, and they happen to be HubZone certified, or they happen to be 8A certified, which helps us meet our small business goals. So finally on this slide, I wanted to note that the lead time from contact to contract is quite a bit longer than a commercial cycle. So it could be short. I mean, you may be fortunate at 3 months or so, or it could be 18 months before you're actually able to make the real lead on something that you're trying to, contract you're pursuing. So just know that as you enter this industry. This is to help you with your bid or no bid analysis. So these are some questions to ask. So you have an opportunity that comes across your desk. You think, wow, we're qualified for this. how do the answers, if you were to answer these questions, what do the answers tell you? Do they tell you yes, I should move forward with the bid, or no, we need to wait, maybe this isn't a good opportunity? Because a lot of time, effort, and money goes into creating these proposals. And again, the PTAC can also help guide you with that as well, as far as helping you kind of vet even your bid or no bid analysis, helping you review proposals and things of that sort. So any hidden issues that are important to the customer and do not appear in the proposal request. The only way you would know this is by having built those relationships and knowing the customer, possibly the program manager or the small business that kind of tells you what's going on. Maybe the incumbent is offering good service, but they're not able to provide X, Y, Z, and you're able to provide it. So those are some of the kind of the things to think about. Discriminators, statements that your company can make that no one else can. Perhaps there aren't any that you can make, which is okay, because you know a lot of things aren't new under the sun. So, but if there is something, making sure that you point that out, that is flowing throughout your proposal. Weaknesses, of course, how are you going to overcome those? Are these weaknesses that will prevent you from being successful, you think, or even being competitive? So these are things to think about, and knowing who your competition is, who's bidding on this, if you know, what are their strengths and weaknesses. This is just a snapshot of what I just said, making sure that you assess all of those different areas. And but most importantly, what's important to look at here is that you see that the customer's need is central. So make sure that whatever you write or whatever you submit takes into account of the customer's needs, because that's what should be first and foremost. All right, so we are at 10:47, and now I'm going to open the floor for you to ask any questions that you have. And let's see, it looks like I have a couple here. So feel free to type something in the box, in the chat box, if you have any questions. Okay, let's see. Okay, the question from Sydney. Okay, so the question is, I'm going to read your question out loud. I hope that's okay. We're already certified as a MBE, WBE via WeBank and NMSDC. Okay, does that help us at all? Okay, that's a good question. It's a little bit out of the side of the scope of what we're covering today, but that applies to those certifications. The WeBank, that's the Women Business Enterprise National Council. So it's a women-owned certification for within the commercial market for large, big business. And then the National Minority Supplier Development Council, for those who don't know, is for minority businesses, and this is what the large commercial companies recognize as well. So you may see here like your, AT&T or Verizon or any of those large companies, they have a supplier diversity department and they recognize those. So her question is, I was trying to just clarify what those certifications are. She said, is there a shortcut the process of getting certified with organizations you mentioned? Well, the only way I would shortcut it is because if you've done it recently, you've already gathered a lot of information that may be needed, useful in transferring over to these other certifications. They don't recognize it as a fast track. Like for instance, I'm certified as a WeBank, so that transfers over to certifying with the SBA as a woman-owned small business. They don't recognize it that way, but again, a lot of times I tell you, of course, to do your certifications up front, because by having all of that paperwork, a lot of times you can transfer from certification to certification. They're asking for the same base information. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Okay, I have a question from Paula. I have done all the paperwork and registered through SAM in order to start bidding jobs. Do I just search and see what their requirements are? You can do that. You can start searching and see what the requirements are, but you want to research again, kind of like what I was talking about, making sure that the right agencies buy what you sell. Also, again, if you qualify for any certifications, I would do that paperwork first. So registration for SAM is a good start, but you want to make sure your small business profile is completed as well, and that any certifications that you qualify, that you do the paperwork for that as well. But you can bid at any time if you find an opportunity, or sometimes agencies approach you because you have a service or product that they need. So you can bid, of course, at any time once you're registered with SAM for federal work. Okay, I'm trying to keep up here. Let's see. Okay, someone asked, it's very hard for me to find a company that can mentor me. Well, I mean, that may be a problem that many companies have, but I would say, and I'm not sure, you know, what your status is, but if you would qualify for 8A, for instance, they do have a mentor protege program that you could qualify for. Other than that, I don't know if I have anything real specific as far as finding a mentor, because probably outside of the scope of just, you know, the programs that the federal government specifically offers for that. Let's see. I have a question here. We are a certified SBE with SBA and have an office in California, but our headquarters is located in Texas. Is there a way to work with the state of California to see if our SBA certification could be used to become small business certified in the state? When you say that you are certified SBE with SBA, are you, well, the SBA really doesn't provide a small business certification. I mean, you know, you self-certify as a small business, I should say. But if you are a minority in a hub zone, veteran, woman-owned, and so forth, they offer those certifications. For the state of California, you really don't need the help of the SBA. It's a pretty easy process. We can walk you through it at PTAC if you are unable to complete it. But we also have, you'll see on these later slides, a link for the they have the state of California has a full instructional guide on how to complete the small business certification, which I've attached in the links that you're going to receive. So it should be pretty easy for you to be small business certified. Okay, but maybe I want to back off of that a little bit, because I realize what you just said. You have an office in California, but your headquarters is located in Texas. Okay, so your principal location should be in California, but I'd like to talk with you a little bit further about that, maybe offline, to see if there's something else we can do there. That's for John Chandler. Okay, Acacia, is there a preference in type of business structure? I mean, does an LLC have more professional weight than, for instance, a sole proprietor, especially with government contract consideration? No, not necessarily. That's just back to your business structure. What do you prefer? I will tell you, though, as a sole proprietor, once you register on SAM, you're going to have to register, you know, if your business is ABCD, you will have to register as Acacia and your last name, doing business as ABCD. So if you don't want your business to appear with your name in it, it would benefit you to, you know, get one of the other designations. But that's something that within the past several years they require on SAM, that you list your business, your name if you're a sole proprietor. Okay, here's a question from Pam. Hello, Pam. I did not know there were specific NAICS codes to qualify for women-owned small business certifications. Are these broad codes, or are they industry specific? I mean, they're pretty broad. They have codes within them. Within those different segments, you can see their industry groups. So chances are, I mean, knowing a little bit about your business, because of course we've spoken, you will qualify, but we can look at that. Okay, another question. Do you have a document that lists all the organizations you mentioned and has links to the sites where we can where we submit our certification? I do. I'm going to, after I get off of this question slide, you'll see it, but even better, we will send a survey at the end within 15 minutes of completion of this presentation, which you have about 5 more minutes, and the slides. And within those slides will be a resource slide that has links to a lot of what I talked about and even things beyond what I was able to cover here today. Okay, and I have certification types, disabled veteran business enterprise. That's my status. Okay, and I think that referred back to another question. Let me go back. Okay, so the company that said that you're a certification disabled veteran business enterprise. No, it was a, let's see. Oh, there we go. Certification disabled, yeah, disabled veteran business enterprise, that's your status. I think you were the one that asked question about mentoring. And so, like I said, there's under the state program, there's not a mentoring program, but by being a subcontractor with a larger firm, and a lot of them are interested in doing business with DVBEs because they're not meeting those goals in many cases, you can kind of de facto get some mentoring as far as an understanding of how the state contracting works. And also, if you get certified with as a service disabled veteran, the same thing with federal. Is there a website you recommend that we can get more certifications? Well, the links that I will provide will link to all the certifications that you can get for federal or state. And then the commercial websites, you know, that's a separate issue. I could send that to you if you contact me after this presentation. Can we self-certify for woman-owned small business through SBA SAM? For woman-owned, yes, you can click off that you are a woman-owned small business. But what happens with women-owned, you complete all the paperwork, you load it in the portal, and then when you get an actual contract, they go and verify it. So you can self-certify, yes, initially, but they will underwrite it once you get an award or they're considering you for award. I have a question that how does any of this apply to high-speed rail? So high-speed rail, I would say the Caltrans certification would be the most beneficial for you because that's for recovery projects. And also by being certified, you'll basically be more visible to those types of that type of work. You'll be more visible to those buyers. And you'll be notified when there are events for high-speed rail by being certified. Also by just being certified as a small business, you'll be notified as well when those events occur. But if you have questions, specific questions about that, Christina, please forward her information to me and maybe we can chat and discuss if I didn't answer a question completely. Are there any advantages having a DVBE certification? Yes, definitely. Well, there's a 3% a requirement for awarding contracts to DVBE firms. And DVBE is just kind of underutilized. So there's always opportunities to subcontract. Like I said, if you're just starting out, it's a great opportunity for you. I think this is the same person that asked about mentoring, to get together with a firm that wants to bid on something that requires a DVBE. But just as long as you make sure that you receive your share of the work, it's not a pass-through, that you're able to perform the work for the contract that you're pursuing. But there are a lot of advantages to having a DVBE, and if you can qualify at the federal level to an SDVOSB as well, Service Disabled Veteran. How far will PTAC go to help getting a contract bid? Well, I'm not sure. That's kind of an open-ended question, but I'll say that we will help you from everything from, and I only have about 1 minute left, so I maybe have to answer some questions offline after our presentation. But we'll help you from the point of research to helping you getting certified, to helping you review bids, helping you review proposals and things of that nature. I'm not sure if that's an exact answer to your question, but there's pretty much help from research to contract and beyond. If you have questions that come up, because we've had companies contact us after they have an award and there's an issue, we will also help you as well and try to help you get to the bottom of it and get the answer that you need. Okay, it's right at 11 o'clock. Let's see how many questions. I only have a few, so I'm going to go over. Anyone who's wants to drop off, it's fine. We will send you, again, the, okay, so we will send you the entire presentation as well as this resource slide. And if you can see here, this has quite a bit of information, pretty much everything I covered plus and then some. So information about marketing events, how to get connected. Again, like I mentioned, that State of California eProcure vendor training information is very helpful as far as walking you through how to complete that. I'm certified as a small business in DVB in California. How do I add NAICS codes? Okay, you would need to log into your account, and once you're logged in, you should be able to tab through to the NAICS code spot. But if you can't find it, again, contact us. We work with companies all the time in helping them update their NAICS codes. Let's see. Do you have to have a state contract before you can get a federal contract? No. Where is a PTAC located? We are located in San Mateo. Okay, so I don't believe we service your area. But again, case by case, you can talk with Christina Kunkel, our director, and she can either tell you whether we can provide the service or we'll definitely put you in connection with a local PTAC. And the answer to the question about the state contract, I think I answered it, but just in case, you don't need a state contract to get a federal contract. They're not connected. Okay, I think that's it. One more question. Do you offer consulting over the phone or Skype? Yes. Through the PTAC, myself, and also Lenny Bean, and also David Lampert, we have several experts here that can assist you by phone. Or we don't actually use Skype, but we use Zoom. But same type of thing, we can do a video conference with you and consult the three of us. You can use, maybe we have different specialties, so depending on what you're looking for, maybe I could help you with something and then I would forward you over to Lenny or forward you over to David. So yes, the answer to that question is yes. Okay. I think that's it for today. I really, truly hope you enjoyed the presentation. I want to give you one last slide, or two more slides. Upcoming webinars. Again, Successful Statement of Qualifications, SOQs, Capability Statements with Lenny on December 7th. Sign up for that. Gain access to federal contracts with HubZone with me on December 14th. Okay? And those are both free webinars. And thank you, and your feedback again is appreciated. We'll be sending you within 15 minutes from completion of this, when I sign off, the complete webinar, which will also have those links that we talked about, and also have an evaluation form. Please send that back. We really appreciate your feedback. Thank you, everyone.